Hey everybody, this is Kim with BigSense. As you know, sometimes sense ain't so common. It's so good to be back with you guys. Did you have a great weekend? You know what? I had a wonderful past weekend, you guys. Check this out. I got the opportunity to go to Chuckles. And Chuckles is a comedy club in Memphis, Tennessee. And the person that I was able to see is Mr. Corey Holcomb. And he is a comedian. I'm sure a lot of you have seen him and you have heard about him. I tell you what, I laughed so hard that my stomach hurt. He put on the best show. So for everybody that was at that show, that was on stage, everybody did a great job. One of the reasons why I'm speaking about Corey Holcomb is because that's who we went to see. I want everybody to know that my boyfriend is a up-and-coming comedian. So he enjoys going to check out other comedians so he can, see the craft, the technique, and be able to learn a little bit more. So he can eventually get on stage and make it do what it do. So if you would like to check out my boyfriend, his name is Derica's Gunn, and you can go to his page or his YouTube page, which is lefthandedconversations.com. And he's a real funny guy. So you guys check him out. Be sure and subscribe. I don't only want to leave it there, but for you guys that's checking me out and you want to get in contact with me, be sure and go to my email, which is info@bigsense.com. And I also have a Facebook business page at bigsense.live, LIVE. And I also have a website if you want to take a look at some of the things that I have on my YouTube channel, which is Kim BigSense, BigSense.com. Be sure and subscribe, guys. That's the only way that my channel is able to grow. So let's get into it. It's story time, guys. And I want you all to know that the train is getting cranked up. And I'm waiting on the passengers to get on board. I don't want to lose anybody. I want everybody to take a trip with me today. It is story time. And what I want to use for my subject is loving yourself. That's right, everybody. Loving yourself. So, growing up, I always saw people being mistreated. Now, at the time, I didn't understand that they were being mistreated, but, the life that I'm living now, and I'm kind of thinking back to a lot of my experience, I now understand that people was being mistreated. Now that I'm older and I understand how I want to be treated, I believe the whole world saw a lot of inappropriate things. What you think? If you kind of sit back and look back over your life, you're starting to see a lot of things that you don't like. You don't like. So if you saw those things during your childhood, then you understand some people just wasn't being very good. And that's why I want to use as the subject, loving yourself. Because I want to help somebody today that could be in a situation with someone else not understanding how to love you. And you could be in a situation not knowing how to love yourself. So my question is, why do people enjoy making other people cry? I have never been able to understand that for the life of me. Well, if you remember the conversation from last week, pick yourself up. You can only teach what you have experienced in life. Because if you remember what I spoke of last week, you now know that hurt children will hurt children. So if you have experienced hurt, then you can't help but to give hurt if you have not healed. So we are only imitating what we saw as well as what we have experienced in life. So that's why you heard me last week say, hey, it's time for the whole world to get in counseling so we can all be retaught and have the life that we have dreamed of, the life that we want, and the life that we are so deserving of. I have worked in childcare, guys, and the age that I was over was the 2-year-olds. Oh my gosh, I tell you what, those little 2-year-olds are so funny. It's amazing how each age group is learning how to do something that's different from another age group. So I'm kind of remembering working in childcare when I was younger. And I want to use a couple of examples to kind of give you an idea of what I'm talking about when it comes to children. From 8 months to 12 months, it's the babbling stage. You know how you hear babies trying to say words, they really think they're talking, but they don't make sense. I think that is so cute. They are trying their best to hold a conversation with you, but the words don't go together. So now you're coming up to my age, which is the 12 months to 24 months. That was the age that I had. And in that age group, children are starting to put sounds and words together. For an example, mama and dada. And last but not least, no. Okay, so for a lot of you that have 2-year-olds, you already know. No is the number one vocabulary word when it comes to the 2-year-old. They have that word down pat, and there's nothing that you can do about it. One other thing they experience is taking toys. Yep. It was nothing for those little 2-year-olds to see a toy that another kid had, and they will march right on over there where they are and grab that toy and take off. So when the other child tried to get that toy back, you already know what was said. No. And it was so funny. But you know what? It had an impact on the babies. Because think about it, you're sitting there minding your own business and living your best life, and someone have the audacity to come over and mess with you. And then when you try to correct them, they have the audacity to say no. So you already know that classroom was filled with the word no, and there was a lot of tears. Because at that age and at that stage, babies don't understand what's going on. And the reason why I'm using that as an example is because I want you to understand we're already born into this world being mean. That is nothing that has to be taught because it's already in us. We have to be taught to be good citizens. And so at that 2-year-old age, that's when their experience with life begins. Because someone have to pour into them and help them to understand that you can't do that. And that's when they learn the word I'm sorry. And that's when they learn no, 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 no. That's not yours. And of course, they want to experience everything when it comes to life. But that's when we as parents have to be on top of them and teaching them everything that they need to know at that stage of their life. So they can grow up to not only be good citizens, but great citizens. Now, what we don't understand is it is so easy for us to be not so good simply because of what took place during Adam and Eve. You guys know the story. As their punishment, they had to leave heaven. So where do you think they went to? Yep, that's how the earth came about. So since a sin was done, it's already embedded in us. It's lying dormant and waiting for something to trigger us. And that's when you see the not so good of ourselves come out. And that's when someone have to point out to us that that's not a very good behavior to have. Yeah, this is when the stage begins of us learning to love ourselves. It's so many different things that we have to learn. Well, I was the overseer of the 2-year-olds, and I had to teach everybody to get along with each other so we could live in peace and live in harmony. Now, if you've been in a room filled with 2-year-olds, you already know that is not what was happening. It wasn't. Everybody wanted to do their own thing. But you know what? We never stopped teaching. It was ongoing. It's just that we was the very first foundation for the 2-year-olds. So the next stage that they go through, they may begin to start to understand because everything is repetition. Everything is repetition. So the kids had to be taught to be nice, and they had to be taught to share. Which brings me to, we have to be taught to love ourselves and teach others how we want to be treated. You know what? Loving yourself is spending time by yourself and learning your likes as well as your dislikes. What are your short-term goals? What about your long-term goals? Do you know the answers to that right now? This is the reason why we have to get to know ourselves. Because when someone asks you those questions, that's something you should already know because you already know your likes as well as your dislikes. And you also know what you will tolerate and what you just absolutely will not deal with. You need to know how to react in awkward positions. Yeah. Have you even thought about that? How do you react when you're put on the spot? This is the reason why we need to spend a little bit of time with ourselves. Because those are things that we really need to understand. Because it can be a struggle. Do you make good decisions? Or do you depend on others to make decisions for you? That's that $1,000,000 question. Sometimes when you're not able to make decisions for yourself, maybe the responsible parent that you had, or whoever it was that was over you and overseeing to make sure that you was doing everything correct. Maybe they didn't give you options. Maybe they pretty much made decisions for you, so it made you dependent on others instead of yourself. Well, guess what? If that was the case, that wasn't your fault. But you know what you're able to do? You're able to start all over again. Even though that may have happened so long ago, you can still start your life all over again. You know that little commercial, I think it was Staples. I'm not real sure, but they had that little red button and they said you can have a do-over and you mash that button. Well, today I'm giving you that red button so you can mash it and get you a do-over. Now I want you to start practicing making decisions for yourself. And the only way that you are able to do that is you have to trust yourself and you have to get to know yourself. And day by day, you will find yourself getting stronger and stronger. And before you know it, you'll find out that you like yourself a little bit more than you did yesterday. And before long, you'll find out that, hey, you really are a great person. And that's when the world will begin to see that light on you. And they'll start getting a little curious by saying, who is that over there? I really love that energy that person have. I'm going to go over there and check them out. See, it's all in what you take in. That's what it's all about. Because we came to Earth School in order to have life lessons. And we are here to learn. And we are here to teach others how we want to be treated. Now, sometimes we need to know what's harmful. We need to understand that because that's a part of self-love and taking care of yourself. Because when you truly love yourself, you're not going to put yourself in a position to get hurt. You're just not going to do that. And a lot of times, when we don't truly love ourselves, we end up self-sabotaging ourselves. That's right. Can you believe that? We self-sabotage ourselves on a daily basis when we don't love ourselves. We will put ourselves in compromising decisions because let me go ahead and say it, people pleasers, instead of learning what we like and what we don't like. And being okay with being by yourself. It don't take a whole lot of people in order for you to be happy. Because a lot of times you can have a great time just being by yourself. So let me give you a couple of things that you can do when you're by yourself. Take yourself out on a date. Treat yourself sometimes. Hey, if you got a little bit of change left over after you pay your bills, why not take yourself to a matinee? And be okay with yourself. Date yourself. Buy yourself some popcorn and get you a drink. And find you a funny movie to look at so you can laugh. Because what we don't understand is laughing heals the soul. And if you know BigSense and sometimes sense isn't so common, I love learning about myself, healing myself, and raising my spiritual vibration. Because what a lot of people don't realize is your spirit first and your man second. And what I mean by man, I'm speaking of mankind. So that includes men and women. You are spirit first. So if you find yourself not so happy about yourself, that's because you have fed what it takes to be in this world. And it is now time for you to start feeding your spiritual side. So now the conductor is looking around. I'm trying to make sure that I haven't lost anybody. Is everybody still on the train? Are you still there? Good. Stay with me. Because I'm that conductor that have not lost a passenger yet. That's right. I haven't lost a passenger yet. So stay with me. We're getting ready to go through some loops. We're going through some tunnels. And it's getting ready to get bumpy. So hold on. When I take a look at my Facebook page or my Instagram page, I always see the younger generation with no clothes. Just to get some likes. Our society no longer leave anything to the imagination. So if you're making it that easy, Why would anybody want to even give you the respect that you should have? You know what? It really don't take all of that in order to get likes. Just that cliche, be yourself. Oh, but I forgot. You can't be yourself if you have not taken the time out to get to know who you are. And the time is now because we are in the age of Aquarius, which means truth is coming out everywhere. There is no reason for us to not know what's going on in the world because information is all over the place. You just have to tap in. Aren't you tired of self-sabotaging yourself? Not getting what you truly is supposed to have. Aren't you tired of that? I know that I am because I am well deserved to be happy and have everything that is beautiful. Because guess what? I am worth it. Now think about it. When we don't love ourselves, we always end up with people that we don't necessarily want to be with. But if you know who you are, you can stop it at the door before you go too far. There are so many different signs that's all around us. And when you start tapping into your energy, you're able to see things that you need to see in order to make wise decisions. We have not given ourselves time to know what we need instead of what we want out of life. And that's where the self-sabotage come in. Because you don't know what's best for you. And we seek validation from people that can't validate us. We have to learn to validate ourselves. Because you have that right. When you was born, you received that right. You have a right to be happy. You have a right to be prosperous. You have a right to move forward in life. Because we are all teachers as well as educators. So it's time for us to go back to the basics and learn about yourself. When you get to know yourself, it may take a little longer to reach the finish line, but baby, guess what? You will be in a better situation, much happier about your choices. You know the biblical verse, when I was a child, I spoke as a child, I understood as a child, I thought as a child. But when I became a man or a woman, I put away those childish things. And you can find that in 1 Corinthians 13 and 11. For those of you that's looking for that. We have been given a right, again, to be happy and to live our best life. You have a right. So again, for those of you that really don't know who I am BigSense. And sometimes sense ain't always so common. And for a hashtag, always remember, make it make sense. And don't forget, if you want to go to my Facebook business page in order to keep up with everything that I'm doing, you can always go to at BigSense, capital BIG, capital S, lowercase ENSE.live. And you're able to see everything that's going on and everything that I am doing. And don't forget to check out my website if you want to see a couple of things that I've done with YouTube. That's Kim, Kim, Big, B-I-G, Sense, SENSE.com. And don't forget to subscribe. That's the only way that my channel is able to grow. Well, everybody that's on the train with me, we're pulling in. Yep, we're almost coming to an end. We're pulling in, and I have not left or lost a passenger yet. We made it. I got you to where you needed to go on time, baby. That's right, riding my train, you will always be on time. Well, you know what? It's time for me to say goodbye. And I have had such a great time going over that information with you guys. And for those of you that's still working on loving yourself, there is a video that I want you guys to check out on my YouTube page. And let me think. The name of that video have to do with self-love as well. I'm trying to think because I know that I wrote it down what I want you guys to take a look at. Oh, it's called Take a Step Back. Starring Miss Sheena Palmer. She's been working in her profession for a long time. She's a makeup artist. And she found herself having to take steps back in order to practice self-love with herself. Because a lot of times when we hook up with people that's not so good for us, they may be a good person, but just not for you. Sometimes they can do a little bit of damage and cause us to kind of take a step back from life in order to regroup. So when we step back out there, we can shine like stars. And I'm so proud of my girl because I tell you what, she is taking big steps in her life and I can't wait to see her in her future. So that's how I'm going to end this. As always, I can't wait to see you in your future. You guys are the best. And don't let anybody tell you anything less. You are the best. You have the power to take over this world and teach others how to love you. Take care of yourself, guys, and I'll see you guys next week. As always, I can't wait to see you in your future. Mwah!